This mac and cheese is high in protein, cheap, and hidden within the cheese sauce is a wealth of vegetables that you won't even notice are there. Each meal is about 596 calories with 50 grams of protein, and it still only costs $2.06 per serving. A meal prepped, macro-friendly mac and cheese has been somewhat of a white whale recipe of mine for a while, but this recipe has finally changed that. Let's talk some numbers. These days I've been forced to pinch my pennies a bit harder, so cheap eats are on the menu for me. I try to make this recipe as economical as possible to where you will use up most of the ingredients purchased. The price of the total amount of each ingredient used is listed first, and in parentheses is the price that cost to buy. The cost of this recipe ended up being $12.34 or $2.06 per meal. To buy all the ingredients, minus the oil and seasoning, it cost me $13.91. Now let me show you how it's done. To start off, I'm going to chop up the carrots to allow them to roast faster. Take about 3 medium carrots or 300 grams worth and cut them into equal sized pieces. It doesn't matter what shape you go for here, it's all going into the blender in a little bit. Next, you can grease a sheet pan with a small amount of oil and then dump 1 pound or 454 grams of frozen cauliflower on top. Grotesque. Hard to believe this is going to be a cheese sauce here in a matter of minutes. Add the carrots to the pan as well and then drizzle over 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil and lightly season with salt and pepper. Toss around the cauliflower and carrots to distribute the seasonings and oil and then roast them at 425 Fahrenheit or 218 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes. While the vegetables are in the oven, take 2 pounds or 908 grams of boneless skinless chicken breasts and trim away any excess skin or fat. I like to fillet the breasts so that they are of even thickness throughout, otherwise they won't cook evenly. Sometimes I need to show them who's boss in addition to the slicing, so I'll fight them with these ham hocks of fists I have at the end of my arms as well. Lightly season both sides of the chicken with salt and pepper, and then place them onto a sheet pan in a single layer. These are going to go into the oven at 425 Fahrenheit or 218 Celsius with your vegetables for about 15 minutes. Cook times will depend on the thickness of your chicken. Just cook it so that it temps at 165 Fahrenheit, but don't overcook it and make it tough. Next, you can prepare your macaroni according to the packaging. I'm doing this on the real stove because it's more convenient, and I don't think you guys need me to show you how to boil noodles. At least you better not. For the cheese, you'll need 8 ounces or 227 grams of cheddar cheese. The block is better than the pre-shredded here, so if you have a way of shredding yourself, I highly recommend reaching for the block instead of the bag. I throw on the shredding attachment to my food processor and it takes seconds to do the whole block. If you don't have a food processor or a box grater, then you can use a knife to cut it into thin pieces. The noodles shouldn't take too long to cook. I think it's best to take them just past al dente because they're going into the oven for a bit as well. Reserve 2 cups or 480 grams of the pasta water to be used in the sauce, and you can store the noodles in cold water until you need them here in a bit. Around this time, your chicken and vegetables should be coming to the finish line, so pull them from the oven when ready. Temp your chicken or cut into a piece and make sure it's done, and then let it rest about 10 minutes before cutting it into small pieces. I don't like any chunks in my mac and cheese. I want it to be as close to the Kraft mac and cheese as possible, so my goal for the chicken here is to simply cut it up into tiny pieces so that it folds right into the noodles. This is why I baked it, and I also didn't care if it got any color on it. I wanted it to be soft and unnoticeable for a boost of protein to help make this meal more balanced than a plain mac and cheese. That's just how I prefer things. If you wanted to air fry this chicken with extra spices to fancy it up and serve it over the top of the mac and cheese, be my guest. You should make it your own. Whenever the vegetables have finished, you can make the cheese sauce. Get out a blender and add all of your carrots and cauliflower while they are still hot. Then pour in 2 cups or 480 grams of pasta water, as well as 1.5 cups or 360 grams of 2% milk. Lastly, add in about 4/5 of the shredded cheese. The remainder of the cheese will be used to sprinkle over the top before it goes in the oven. Then you can pop on the lid of the blender and blend on high speed for 30 to 60 seconds until everything is smooth. Once you have a nice, vibrant yellow cheese sauce that is chunk free, you are ready to construct the mac and cheese. Get out a 13x9 baking dish and pour about half of the cheese sauce into the bottom. It doesn't have to be exact, it will all get mixed together in a second. This will help to distribute the sauce and make it easier to stir. Next, dump in your drained macaroni as well as all of your chopped chicken, and then pour the remaining sauce over the top and begin stirring to coat everything in the cheese sauce. After you've got it looking good, I would give it a quick taste test to make sure that the seasonings are where you want it to be, and add a bit of salt and pepper to taste if necessary. Remix the pan to distribute the seasonings if needed, and then smooth out the top layer and sprinkle the remaining shredded cheddar cheese over the top of the pan. Place this into the oven at 425 Fahrenheit or 218 Celsius for 10 minutes to brown the cheese and to thicken the sauce a bit. I like to turn on the broiler for the last 2 minutes to help the cheese brown. Allow this to cool before you cut into it, and you can optionally garnish with a bit of chopped parsley. This is completely unnecessary in my eyes, but the contrasting colors make it look nicer. If nothing else, since parsley is technically a leafy green, and salads are made of leafy greens, this mac and cheese is now a salad by definition. This recipe is going to make 6 servings, so once the pan has been allowed to cool for a bit, you can cut it into 6 equal portions. Get out 6 meal prep containers and divide the contents of the pan evenly into those 6 containers. I don't ever recommend keeping meals in the fridge for longer than 5 days, although they should be safe to eat for up to 7. So because there are 6 servings here, I'll either double up on this one day, or I think it could be a good candidate as a freezer meal since it's very sauce heavy. This meal prepped version of mac and cheese has 596 calories with 50 grams of protein and almost 2 pounds of vegetables hidden within the sauce. Finding ways to sneak vegetables into my food is something that I'm always looking to do, and I must say, this recipe may be some of my best work in doing so. They are so close to being completely unnoticeable. Once the meals have cooled, throw on the lids and move them into the fridge for storage. To reheat these mac and cheese meals, I simply microwave them until they are hot. If you've got them in the freezer, I would move them into the fridge the night before you plan to eat so that they have time to thaw, and then throw them in the microwave like you would any normal meal. Creating a balanced meal out of mac and cheese so that it follows the template of protein, carb, and vegetable isn't the easiest. Most mac and cheese recipes you see online that have been healthified have broccoli included because broccoli and cheese are supposedly some heavenly combination of foods. But as I said a few minutes ago, I need my mac and cheese to be smooth, and I've tried these broccoli-laced monstrosities in the past, and let me tell you what, nothing will ruin your day more than when you're vibing with your mac and cheese and you chomp down on a disgusting piece of broccoli. No thanks. I'd much rather try my luck seeing what the bottle of bleach under the sink tastes like than eat broccoli chunks in my mac and cheese. What am I, in prison? Yuck. The written version of this recipe can be found on my website, and that is linked in the description below. If you struggle with eating vegetables like I do, this meal will help you, no doubt about it. Give it a shot, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Peace out, Girl Scouts.